Hi, everyone, and welcome to Repurpose Live, where we help you to rethink your growth, your wellness, and your purpose. I'm Lissa Figgins, and it's my mission to help women like you to have the health, the time, and the resources to create a life that you love. And it's my intention each and every time to introduce you to an amazing woman who can also help you in that way as well. So today I'm excited to introduce you to Deborah Fawaz. She is a personal stylist, makeup artist, and an image consultant. Anybody need one of those? She is the founder of DD Faces, and she works with women and men, but the show is for women. So works with women who want to take their physical presence to the next level, both online and in person, so that you can be memorable and make an impression. So Deborah, welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Tell us, I always love to hear about the story behind what you do. So tell us a little bit about your journey to how you got to doing what you're doing today.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Lissa. Without spending too much time on my personal history, my interest in hair, makeup, fashion, color, all things about your exterior physical self really started when I was a young girl. I was the oldest of two kids and the only girl. And my dad was a minister in Northern Illinois. So one thing, we moved a lot. So I was always the new kid. I was 5'9", which I still am, not shrinking yet. When I was 12 years old in the 7th grade, so taller than the center on the boys basketball team. And therefore store-bought clothes were very hard to find. And so my mom sewed most of my clothes because they weren't long enough in the arms, anywhere. So I really yearned to be able to go into a store and just buy something off the rack. Also, there wasn't much money in those times for ministers' families, and my mother was the consummate minister's wife. So she had to be a reflection of my father, which she felt like needed to be close to perfect. And then I had to reflect her. And, back in those days, I know your vintage is a little younger than me, but it was the whole children are seen and not, yeah, that's right, seen and not heard. So
Right.
I was dressed up real pretty and, just kind of stood there and smiled. When I was 16, she took me to Merle Norman. Have you ever heard of that company?
I have, yes, we have one here in town.
Okay, so yes, they're still around, and typically it's like a freestanding building that's cosmetics and makeup. And she took me there so that I could get a makeup lesson and look proper, and that I wasn't going to be embarrassing to her with too much or whatever. Well, that was like taking a little girl into a candy store. I was thrilled. I loved it, and I've never stopped. So I then went on, in college, I did everybody's makeup, and then I did their makeup for their weddings, and I helped them pick out the gowns, and on and on and on it went. So I have gone on to get certifications in color analysis, and I am a professional makeup artist, and I just love fashion and style.
That's really fun. And I'm sure, so many things have changed, right, over the years, just because we all know nothing stays around forever, but it does tend to cycle back again. So I tell people hang on to it or just kind of ride out some of those trends and fads because usually it will come back, full circle to that.
Yeah.
So as you've, and one thing I'm curious about when I'm listening to your story and that perfection standard that was put on you, right, when it came to your physical presence and what it looked like, was that something that was difficult for you, feeling like you had to measure up to that standard? And was that something that you had to work through when you got a little bit older and just not letting that be something that was defining who you are and your value?
That's a great question. And yeah, there has been some therapy.
We all need therapy.
There have been, some hard conversations with the family. And what is also interesting is as my mother evolved into a more confident, businesswoman. She started out as a teller and then ended up being the vice president of the bank company. She let go of a lot of those things and was more accepting of herself, got a sense of humor, which I don't remember her having when I was growing up. And so that's allowed me as well to let go of some of those things. So yeah,
Right.
I still care about, how I look and how healthy I am and what I weigh, but hey, I wear a baseball cap to the grocery store. I have no makeup days.
Yeah. Yeah. It's healthy, right, to have that, as long as we don't feel like that's what defines us, right?
Right.
And gives us that value. And, and we know that our beauty, our true beauty comes within. And especially you and I both know, as we age, things start changing, right? We don't
Right.
quite look the same as we did back in our 20s when we were putting those clothes on, or doing, our makeup. Our skin looks different. There's a little bit more pooch around the belly, there's just a little bit more sagging and bagging and things like that. And so how to still make ourselves, really beautiful and reflect who we are. So why do you think that it's important? So specifically, I'm addressing women who are after 40.
Right.
So when it comes to, our personal style, when it comes to figuring, those things out, why may that be specifically important for somebody in this stage of life?
I think that for many of us, nobody really taught us
Mm.
like how to do this. Yes, you could watch, YouTube videos for years. I understand that. But it's not an interactive process. And watching a YouTube tutorial, whether it's about color or fashion, hair, makeup, any of that, is completely one-sided. So it's not a conversation. And when I work with people, specifically women, I want to make sure that whatever we create together reflects their personality, their lifestyle, and their brand. Okay, you might have an hour to get ready, but my next client might have 10 minutes to get ready with 3 kids and 2 dogs running through her bathroom while she's trying to do it. Right? So
Yeah.
I want to create something that is the best of you, but fits your life and something that you're willing to do. For
Yeah.
example, we could go, to any makeup counter at the mall and get our makeup done and say, oh, I want to look natural, or, I want a smoky eye, or I want something glamorous. But it's not a teaching experience. Your eyes are
Mm.
closed, you're sitting there, and you can't go home and duplicate it. So
Right. Right.
that is part of the process in how I work with people. I give you the brush if we're doing a makeup class, and I show you how to dip it in and where to put it, and you do it. I don't do it. You do it.
Right.
So,
Because we often leave a makeover or a hairdresser and think, wow, this looks fantastic. I could never do this myself, So
I
I
know.
love that you're very hands-on, with that process. It was interesting. I was prom dress shopping with our daughter and our exchange student a couple of weeks ago. And I remember saying to them, when I was their age, right, we had like 17 magazine that I would get like once a month would come. And that's where I would kind of catch up on what the newest styles were, and what think people were wearing, and makeup tips and things like that. But now, I mean, with social media, those images are, everywhere, not just the how-tos, but also just those standards, right, that are out there. Have you seen, the effect that has on women and how they feel about themselves, and, and what they're doing or not doing, because they're seeing so many images out there of, what they should look like or what they feel like they should look like?
I feel like as we in our generation have raised our girls, because we had an awareness of this, and the body image thing and all the eating disorders that can go along with all of that those were conversations that were never had with me because it just wasn't talked about then, but that um, we we're more educated about that now, and we as parents are encouraged to talk to our daughters about that, talk to them about photoshopping and filters, and that's not
Right.
real on the front of that magazine. Things have been done to it, and so that's not perfect, and it's not authentic, and it's not who that person really looks like if you met them on the street. So I think as women, that's something that we have to constantly be aware of. I wanted to add
Mm,
on to something we talked about earlier about why does it even matter. In several of the talks that I give, I'm also a professional speaker. I talk about first impressions and why it really matters. I meet women who say, Deborah, I respect you and I like what you do and you always look great, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? People don't hire me because of how I look. People hire
mm,
me because of the excellence of my skills, or, they want some of my content. So, like, this just doesn't matter.
mm.
And I understand that point of view, but I would like to challenge that and say, you don't really know. There is no statistic that we can take on how many people didn't give you a second chance to get to know you after they first met you, right? Nobody calls you
Right.
up and says, "Hey, Lisa, I love your hair. You're cool. You're so healthy, but I'm just not feeling your vibe, and I don't want to have coffee with you." No one gives you that feedback. They just kind of go
Right,
away.
right,
So what
right.
if we were able to be more memorable and make a more lasting impression, and not even just about how we look? I work with people about the content of their conversation, or how they enter a meeting room, how they enter a luncheon, because we are going to do that again. Um,
Right.
because that old saying about 7 seconds to impress, there are hundreds and hundreds of psychological studies about how the brain, basically the subconscious brain, registers an opinion of an image before we can consciously say, "Oh my gosh, I love Liz's
Mm,
outfit today." It's already gone
mm.
click up there. And so that really is
Wow, that's
that
interesting.
really is why it matters.
Mm. And I love what you said about presence, right? That presence that you bring with. And so when you walk into a room, you don't want somebody to just say, "Wow, that dress," or "Wow, those shoes," or "Wow," even though you may have some of those great pieces, but you want them to say, "Wow, who is that Deborah? Who is that Lissa? Who is that Sally? What is it about her that's really intriguing, that's drawing me in, right? That's making me feel like that's someone I want to, have a relationship with or work with
Right.
or things like that." I'm curious, so much has gone to, virtual and this platform, especially in the past year with, us being more at home and not as out and about and things like that. So what have you seen, when it comes to being able to make those first impressions over a Zoom call, right? Or over something that's more of like a digital type engagement. And, oftentimes for me, most of my interactions, the only way I interact with somebody is digitally, through a video chat or something like that. They never are with me in the same room. So what does that look like? And what have you seen in that area?
So I started networking virtually in March of 2020, and in my job, or just my lifetime, I really never had to do that before. Yes, I would like FaceTime, with family that was far away, but who cares? You're in your pajamas and a ponytail, right?
They
So
love you anyway, right?
yeah, yeah, never. So a lot of people have lived in this world of virtual meetings in corporate America, but most of us, nobody really taught us the etiquette. Yes, they taught us how to click on Zoom or Microsoft Teams or whatever, and how to use the equipment. But who talked about all the other things like lighting and background and makeup or not, or glasses or glare, or noise, microphones, virtual backgrounds, all of that. So by the end of April, I had so many observations from so many meetings that I actually developed a program called the Top 10 Mistakes Participants Make in Online Meetings.
Oh,
And
perfect.
that's something I offer to people. It's also one of my talks. So I start at number 10, and that's the noise distraction. And then we work our way up to number 1. And just to give you a little idea, I am actually hiding out in a bedroom at my son's house today because I had an opportunity for an emergency, we need babysitting help, phone call.
Love that. Love that. And you would never know it. If you're watching her live, she looks like she's in a professional studio, right?
Packed up my equipment, my portable equipment, and here I am. So that's something I help people with too. I can make recommendations of where to buy things, where to buy them inexpensively. You really do not have to drop a lot of money, but awareness of where the camera is, you know, and what other people are looking at, minimizing distractions, all of that is super important. And I am no business analyst, but there is no doubt in my mind that this form of doing business, getting to know people, having sales conversations will remain virtual to a certain extent.
Yes, I totally agree, because I think that number one, it's helped with time, you know, that you could very quickly, you know, meet with several people within a short time frame, and it's opened up, you know, your reach to way outside of your zip code and, you know, within driving distance. So I think it's really expanded the networking that we can do and the connections that we can make. So if someone is listening today and they're, you know, they're wanting to, you know, they're thinking, okay, I need to start working on my, you know, on my presence. I want to make a lasting impression. I want to be memorable. I want people to, you know, to start connecting with me. What would be a couple of tips that you would have that somebody could, you know, start thinking about or implementing?
Okay, let's talk about being like fascinating and being interesting, leaving somebody a little curious, like you said, wanting to know maybe just a little more. Be aware of your chit chat conversation. You know, we all know, and even if you're an introvert, you can do this. So we all know that in business, we're not supposed to talk about sex, politics, and religion. Okay, we all get that. But what if you didn't talk about the weather, traffic, and sports either? Especially if you're in the same geographic area and we're driving to a restaurant, let's say for a networking event. We all experience the same weather. We live in the same town with the same team and the same traffic. So if I have a conversation with you and you talk about the traffic, and then, you know, you move on and I move on to another group of people, I'm not going to go out to my car with your business card and say, because I always take little notes. So here's another tip. You know, either take notes if you're online about something that was fascinating or interesting or different about somebody, so that when you talk to them again, you can say, for example, oh, Lissa bought those earrings in Italy because she told me every time she takes a trip, she buys a piece of jewelry. I'm going to remember that. So I'm going to go out to my car and put that on your business card. Takes an annual trip and purchases jewelry. So 4 months from now, when I see you, I'll say, so have you traveled outside the country? You know, and you'll be impressed because I remembered something from months ago that you thought you just happened to drop. I'm not going to go out to the car and write down traffic was bad for Alyssa today. Who cares?
Right, exactly.
So, you know, I even in some of my workshops have the participants just start jotting down little conversation starters or questions. Another tip would be choose what your accessory is going to be that you want to be focused on. Maybe you have this really funky little clutch bag or something. And you know, as women, when we're in person, most of us scan the room, find a place to put down our purse and leave it there. But what if you're an introvert and you don't really want to start conversations, but your bag is the most fascinating part of your outfit? Keep it. People will ask you about it, and you don't even have to start the conversation.
What a fun idea. It could be a necklace. It could be a fun pair of shoes. It could be a scarf. Yeah, I love that. Kind of something.
Don't do all of that.
Right.
Don't put on your
be distracting
statement earrings, your statement this, a scarf, and a purse. Pick one.
Might be a little too much. Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah. And I think even too on Zoom, it can be very distracting. You know, you want to pop a little bit so that you're not just melting into your background, but you also don't want to be so distracting because, you know, all they're seeing is, you know, from the chest up, depending on, you know, how close you're sitting. So having something that kind of shines and, you know, and pops, but doesn't distract from what you're doing.
No, I agree with that. And especially on Zoom, you know, it's kind of a joke in the beginning of 2020 about, oh, haha, I'm in my yoga pants or I'm in my gym shorts, but I have my tie on. To me, it's really not a joke. And some people might think that I'm taking this too seriously. But if you are coming to a business meeting online, you need to dress as if you were really going into the boardroom. The only pass I give people is you could be barefoot. You don't need to wear your heels to your desk. But I even
Right.
spritz on some cologne. Like I do the whole deal because I want my mind and my body prepared for that business experience. And I truly believe that you come to the meeting, whether it's in person or virtually, with that mindset and the intention of whatever it is that you want to create within that meeting. But yeah, I'm not for living your yoga pants.
Yeah, I totally could resonate with that. In fact, today, so April 16th is the day that we are recording this. Today is National Go to Work in Your Pajamas Day. And I'm a part of a group that, you know, we have a challenge each day. So the challenge today was, you know, what are your pajamas? And I was like, I can't do that. Even though I own my own health and wellness business, I work from home. Many days I never leave the house. I am fully dressed head to toe, you know, my hair, I've got makeup on, I've got earrings, necklace, and I put shoes on because for me, it's like I just need that kind of grounding, I think it is, you know, to really feel like I'm ready to do my day, right? And not like I just want to go curl up on the couch. So I totally resonate with that. Like, you know, it doesn't matter if anybody's going to see me or not. Yeah, I wore my fun pink pants the other day that, you know, are fantastic, but nobody saw them. That's okay because I felt fantastic, right? Because I had those on. So yeah, it really, it's a mindset, right? And we, the way that we show up is the way we're going to interact.
Right. I find I'm a lot more productive if I'm in work clothes rather than comfort clothes.
I love that. I love that. Well, there are so many different areas of this. And I love the fact that, you know, you're helping people in so many different ways that maybe right now someone's listening and thinking, gosh, I never even thought about that before. You know, that is something I need to really think about, whether you're a business person or not, you know, just about how your presence is coming across to other people. So if someone wanted to get in touch with you, you mentioned one of your courses, you know, what are some of the things that you have to offer and how can people, you know, find you after listening to
Sure.
this?
Well, I work with people individually, and I also work with small groups of 10 or less, both virtually and in person. I've started teaching virtual makeup classes because I thought you just can't sit here and wait for the world to, you know, open back up.
For
And
you.
people really embrace that. And so that's been fun. So that's a new part of my journey. I am a professional speaker. I have about 6 or 7 different topics that I can speak on. So I would love an introduction to, you know, a woman's group, a networking group that is looking for a little different spin on how to elevate your business and grow yourself. My website is ddfacesbydeborah.com, and I have a scheduler in there. So anybody that wants to talk to me, pick out a time on that calendar and we will have a complimentary call. And you know, let's just see what we can create together and cook up. What would you like to be different? Or do you just have questions and you want to pick my brain? I am open to that.
I love that. Thank you so much for that generous offer. We will put that link down in the comments. So if you are listening right now and you would like to, you know, pick Deborah's brain or find out more about some of the programs she offers or some of the specific tips that she's sharing, please do reach out and share this with someone else. I know that as women, we want to feel good about how we're presenting ourselves and how we look. And so this is an area that I feel like, we just want to be intentional about. And, so share this with someone that would benefit from thinking about these things, making these things a priority. So often we're so busy serving everyone else and then we neglect ourselves. And really, we could show up a whole lot better for all those people if we just took a few minutes to really take care of ourselves. Do you agree?
I completely agree. And so many of the things that we talked about today, for most of us, nobody taught us how to do
Right.
this,
Right.
And so if your mom or your older sister wasn't into all this and didn't understand about first impressions and posture and entrance and content of conversations, nobody really teaches you that. So
Right. Right. And
it's okay that you don't know it. It's
yes,
okay
it's
that
never
you
too
think
late.
it's not important.
Exactly. And it's never too late, right? No matter what stage of life you're in. Some things I always say, I wish I knew that when I was 20, but I'm so glad, when I meet someone like you who can teach me in my 40s and beyond what that can look like. So I love that. And I will go ahead and put a link down in the comments as well for a free Prioritize You call of just looking at the health piece of it. I believe that we better take care of our bodies and we feel good about ourselves. It's not about a number on a scale or a number on a tag. It's about knowing that you're just taking care of you so that you can be your best you. So I will put a link to that down below and love helping women make that a priority in their life. So thank you, Deborah, so much for sharing with us today and showing us what that presence can look like. You are definitely an example of that. And I know many women are inspired and I'm excited to get to share this with them. So thank you everyone for listening in today. And I really encourage you to share this with a friend and to take advantage of the free resources that'll be in the notes. So make sure that you go there and check those out. And remember, until next time, you can live repurposed. Just keep rethinking your priorities of growth, wellness, and purpose and create a life that you love. Thank you.
Thank you. So grateful. Have a great evening.
You too.